All right, what up? What up? This is DB talking now. DB talking birds. DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. Happy Saturday, guys! Today we got a lot to get into. We're going to talk about Week 3 preview. So we're going to go through a list of all the games, and then we got some Eagles news as well. I have not been on with you guys since Jordan Mailata has been added to the injury report. Left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a huge loss. It's a huge loss, especially this week going against Dallas. He has a sprained MCL. We don't know how many games he's going to miss, but I mean, this game is probably one of the most important games. So he's going to be severely missed for this game against Dallas in Dallas at Jerry World. I mean, we don't know. I guess he's week to week. Sprained MCLs, they're kind of a tricky thing. They can either be, 4 to 6 weeks, or they can come back within 2 weeks. So we'll just have to see, how this plays out. I hope it's not going to be too long of a wait for Jordan Mailata's return. But in other news, Zach Ertz was added to the COVID list earlier in the week, but he did pass both of his tests and was then also removed from the COVID list and was activated for Monday night's game against the Dallas Cowboys. So that will be good. That is good news. If Nick Sirianni decides to call more plays directed towards the tight ends, and if Jalen Hurts targets his tight ends more, I think that's what we're going to need to do against the Dallas Cowboys. That's just one of the keys to victory that I believe. You have two tight ends who are absolutely phenomenal after they get the ball, and Dallas Goedert maybe more so after he gets the ball, but Zach Ertz, obviously, as we know, phenomenal route runner. You got to get these guys involved. Getting Miles Sanders involved and getting the running game going for the Philadelphia Eagles, keeping Dak Prescott and that Dallas Cowboys offense off the field is going to be a huge key to victory for the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe. But then again, I'm excited to see what this defense can do. They've played really well for the first 2 weeks. I'm really excited to see if they can hold up against a really potent offense in the Dallas Cowboys. And I got to be honest with you guys, I'm a little worried. But I'll say this: that doesn't mean I don't think we can't. I don't think we can't win. I'm not saying that. I think that the Eagles. I think the Eagles can pull off like a 24-20 victory. That's what I believe. That's my prediction. And they need to. They need to go in. They need to beat Dallas. They need to because you got the Buccaneers right after that, and you got the Chiefs right after that, and. If the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Dallas Cowboys, they'll be looking all the better going into the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 4. And, we'll just have to see. But let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and preview these other games. We got the Indianapolis Colts versus the Tennessee Titans. And, guys, I'm going to come out and say it. I know Carson Wentz was back at practice. I think Carson Wentz is going to play. I think Carson Wentz is going to play, but I think the Colts are going to start 0-3 in this season. And that just looks better for the Philadelphia Eagles because, if Carson continues to play at least 75% of the snaps, and the Colts just still end up sucking, then we get a higher draft pick, first round pick. So that's good on us. Damian Creative, welcome to the chat. Dad, welcome to the chat. First time in years we've had a complimentary pair of corners. Yeah, agreed. I can't say enough about how well they are playing, especially Steven Nelson. Actually, I would like to see more interceptions or more turnovers from Darius Slay, just because that's kind of the type of corner that he's supposed to be. But I'm very, very impressed with what Steven Nelson has been able to bring to this defense, and I think Avonte Maddox as well. I mean, we can't talk about the secondary without talking about how well Avonte Maddox has been playing. Going up against some of the tight ends and things of that nature as well. So, Damian Creative says Titans. Agreed. I think Derrick Henry and the rest of that offense is just going to be too much for the Colts. Let's talk about that for a second. What happened to Carson Wentz? The dude seems broken. I mean, he seems broken. He's not playing awful, but he's not the same quarterback that even had the high amount of potential in 2016 when he was a rookie. I don't, and so like, yeah, it's hard to have faith in the Colts. It's hard to have faith in the Colts, and I think that my belief in that is because of the fact that I think that Carson Wentz is churning out an inconsistent offense. Like you can't believe in that offense. And I think it comes from the quarterback. I think it comes from Carson Wentz. Kind of similar to what we saw in Philadelphia over the last couple of years. But let's go ahead and move on to Atlanta Falcons versus the New York Giants. This is a tough one. Both teams are not very good. But I'll tell you this, I think I am going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. I think they have a ton of firepower. They really do. The Giants are the Giants are the bottom of the barrel, the bottom of the cellar, whatever, what have you. I think that Matty Ice will get it going this week against the New York Giants, and I think that Matty Ice, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts. I think we'll see Arthur Smith get his first win of his head coaching career against the New York Giants, regardless of Saquon Barkley. People thinking Saquon Barkley is going to finally find his groove against the Atlanta Falcons. I still think that the Atlanta Falcons will pull out a victory, and the Giants will be 0-3 to start the season, which is never a good thing. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I mean, obviously, it's. I think Patrick Mahomes, lost a game that he shouldn't have lost last week, and I think he's gonna have a bounce back game. Obviously, as Patrick Mahomes does. I think they come out and beat the Los Angeles Chargers, and Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers start 1-2 through the first 3 weeks of the season. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a tough one. It's obviously a division. It's obviously a divisional game. And I think the Cincinnati Bengals, they boast a good defense, but it's interesting. They have Joe Burrow, and I always say this about the Cincinnati Bengals, and even though they have Joe Burrow and they have a couple of good wide receivers, I still don't feel confident about that offense. And I don't know if it's scheme, but it's just they're not putting up like they should. They're not putting up like they should, and it's been like that for the last 15 years. The Cincinnati Bengals offense with the franchise quarterback supposedly that they have in Joe Burrow, the speedy wide receiver that they have in I don't remember the guy's name, but they should be putting up more points on offense than they have been. And I personally believe I think it's scheme. So I'm gonna take the Steelers in this one. I think the Steelers are gonna win. And just continue to have success between that rivalry, in my opinion. Damien Creative says Carson Wentz needs a really good sports psychologist. Yes, I guess. I think when we first drafted Carson Wentz, the Philadelphia Eagles, he didn't seem like an arrogant guy. He didn't seem like all that stubborn of a guy. But as the years have gone on, he seems like it's all about me, and so yeah. But so I can't. I don't know. If I were to think of something how to fix Carson Wentz, yeah, maybe a really good sports psychologist is one of them. Maybe a really good private QB coach is another thing. But something's got to give. Something's got to give at some point. Damon Graves says hasn't been the same since after the injury. Yeah, I mean that's pretty true. That's pretty true. I think that that 2017 season was absolutely phenomenal, and he did some phenomenal things, almost like Patrick Mahomes, like he was in that 2017 season. 2018, he was a little bit less mobile, but he had his highest completion percentage that season and had the most passing yards of his career that season, with the lack of weaponry that we had. But yeah, no, he hasn't been the same playmaker. He's trying to be that same playmaker, and I can see it in some of the highlights that he has with the Colts. And even some of the highlights from last year too, from earlier in the season, where he'll try to do, but like it's not the success rate on those plays it's not the same as it was when he was doing it in 2017. But players like Patrick Mahomes, players like Brett Favre, like they were able to continue to do those types of things, improvising out of the pocket and things like that. And they were able to make a career out of it. It's just that Carson Wentz, for some reason, his success rate when he tries to do those things has dropped very significantly. I can't tell you why. Is it the difference in weapons? I don't know. Like, was Alshon Jeffrey that much better, than any of the weapons he's had since that 2017 season? I can't say. Brett Favre. Yeah, Brett Favre. I mean, yeah, I brought up Brett Favre because Brett Favre was great at doing those things. Brett Favre was a warrior. He took the tough hits and still still made those tough plays, and made a career out of it. That's why everybody loved Brett. But Brett also had a lot of bad plays too. But his big plays also made up for those bad plays. That's so. All right, let's move on. Cleveland versus Chicago. Well, I think this is an easy one in my opinion. I think Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns absolutely destroy the Chicago Bears. I think that the Cleveland Browns defense, obviously rookie quarterback Justin Fields for the Chicago Bears is getting his first start this week. And, the Cleveland Browns have some stingy defensive players on that side of the ball. So I think it's just going to be too much for the rookie to overcome that Cleveland Browns defense to get a win. So Detroit Lions versus the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens are 1-1 currently. The Detroit Lions are 0-2. Yeah, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens. I think that this is an easy game for the Baltimore Ravens schedule. But I'll say this. I think, new head coach Dan Campbell needs to get a victory. And so I think if he's going to make a statement as a head coach, he should win this game versus the Baltimore Ravens. But I don't see it happening. And then what I do see happening is I see Dan Campbell being in trouble after the first three games of this 2021-2022 season. New England Patriots versus the New Orleans Saints. This is the difficult one. This is a difficult one. The reason being is because, in week one, we saw a dominant New Orleans Saints team who absolutely dominated the Green Bay Packers. In week two, it was a completely different story. And as far as the New England Patriots is concerned, what I see from that team, I don't see an offensive dynamo. I don't see a defensive dynamo. I don't see a very I don't see a Bill Belichickian team from years past. I see a team that's on the verge of building something, but it's going to be, it's a smart team. It's a very sound team within the limits that it has. So I think And reason being is because it is Bill Belichick who is the head coach. And so that's why I say this is a tough game to kind of predict. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. If people are predicting that the Saints are going to completely rout the New England Patriots, I don't think that's going to happen. You know what I'm going to say is I'm going to say that this is going to be a staple game for rookie Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. And I'm going to say that the New England Patriots come out and they beat the New Orleans Saints 24-17. 24-17 sounds good. 24-17 sounds good. Moving on, Arizona Cardinals versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is probably going to be a blowout. Kyler Murray has been absolutely phenomenal for the Arizona Cardinals this season. He's been unstoppable. He's looked great. He looks like an early MVP candidate. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have looked like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even with their first round pick, number 1 overall pick in Trevor Lawrence, looks like an absolute scrub. And I don't blame that on Trevor Lawrence. I blame that on the organization. I blame that on the coaching staff. I blame that on mainly the organization for not being able to groom a franchise quarterback. And I say the same things about the New York Jets as well. Like we see they let Sam Darnold get away, and Sam Darnold has led the Carolina Panthers to a 3-0 start and is playing absolutely phenomenal and has become what the New York Jets wanted Sam Darnold to be. And I have a hard time not saying that I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have found themselves in a similar position when it comes to grooming quarterbacks. This is going to be a blowout. This is probably one of the safest bets this week. Is Kyler Murray absolutely destroying that Jacksonville Jaguars team, absolutely destroying. I see a 38-14 game here. Not even joking around there. Washington football team versus the Buffalo Bills. Obviously I'm going to be biased because I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Washington football team's in my division, but that's not the only reason why I'm predicting the Washington football team to lose. I just feel like the Buffalo Bills are going to be the better team at the end of the day when the fourth quarter is up. So I think Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, they're going to have a fine time against this Washington football team. And reason being is Washington football team's defense has not lived up to the hype so far this season. Taylor Heineke is not a starting quarterback. He's a great backup. He did some phenomenal things against the New York Giants. Let's put things into perspective here. Taylor Heineke had a great night last week against the New York Giants. This is a much tougher team in the Buffalo Bills, and I see the Buffalo Bills running away with this one. I'm going to say 27-17 with this one here. Here we go. Let's move on. New York Jets versus the Denver Broncos. New York Jets are 0-2. Rookie quarterback Zach Wilson has looked absolutely horrible again. I go back to what I just previously said. Look, Zach Wilson, when they drafted him, was one of the most premier talents coming out of this draft at the quarterback position, and the New York Jets seem to be failing his development. And I don't want to completely blame it on new head coach Robert Saleh quite yet, because he is new. I blame it on this organization as they have continued to fail many quarterbacks that they've drafted early in the draft over the past years, like Sam Darnold. Denver Broncos, I believe, are going to take this one. Denver Broncos are going to start 3-0 to start the season. So good for them. Good for John Elway and that organization. It's going to be really, really good. It's going to be really, really good for them. Miami Dolphins versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Guys, Derek Carr is playing out of his mind. He leads the league in passing yards. He's having a phenomenal season so far. I know it's only been 2 games, but he's beaten the Ravens. and then he beat I believe they played the Steelers last week. So they're playing. Derek Carr is playing at an MVP level. Obviously we haven't been able to say that since 2015. Toxic Falcons, welcome to the chat, my man. And so I'm going to say that the Las Vegas Raiders continue their win streak. They take it 3-0, and they beat the Miami Dolphins, especially with Tua Tagovailoa. He is going to be out. He was placed on IR, so they are going to have to go to their backup quarterback. That's never something that you want, obviously, in this league. Going to your backup quarterback severely decreases your chances of winning the football game, unless you're Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady, but that's neither here nor there. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Seattle Seahawks versus the Minnesota Vikings. Here's the thing about this game is I'm not a fan of the Vikings. I'm not convinced of the Vikings. I get that they have some weapons on offense, and the defense is good, but they're not consistent enough for me. And obviously, you've got Russell Wilson and you got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on the opposing team, and it's Russell Wilson. And I gotta give this game to the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks are gonna go 2-1. Putting the Vikings in a hole after the first 3 weeks, making the Vikings go 0-3. I think that this next matchup. Tox Falcon says Eagles versus Cowboys should be a good damn game. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll be without our starting left tackle. It has me worried a little bit. Andre Dillard is going to start in place of Jordan Mailata. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But the Cowboys have injuries of their own. Obviously our rookie second-round pick, Landon Dickerson, is going to be starting in place of Brandon Brooks. Landon Dickerson came in, did some good things, once he started to settle down against the 49ers. So I was really impressed with him. I'm not as worried about him as I am about Andre Dillard. And that's kind of where my worry is at, especially with, the Cowboys switching Micah Parsons to defensive end, and Micah Parsons doing really well at defensive end. So we'll see. I wonder where they're going to line Micah Parsons up, knowing that Jordan Mailata is now out. He sprained his MCL at practice. We don't know. He's game to game. He's week to week. I don't think he's going to miss that many games, but we'll see. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they're going to line Micah Parsons up. It might be over Andre Dillard. It might be over Lane Johnson. If they line him up over Lane Johnson, I'm not worried about that matchup whatsoever. Lane Johnson's going to eat fucking Micah Parsons for lunch, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, I'm not worried about that. I think that the analysts throughout the NFL are trying to make that matchup a bigger deal than it actually is. And Lane Johnson is a perennial Pro Bowler and has at least like 70 pounds on fucking Micah Parsons. So yeah, not too worried about it. Tox Falcon says, I'll say whoever wins between the Eagles and Cowboys will win the division. Maybe. You might be right. You might be wrong. I mean, usually we split with the Cowboys. We split with the Cowboys on average. On average, we usually split with the Cowboys. All right. Next game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the LA Rams. Both 2-0 teams. Might be the matchup of the week outside of the Monday night game, the Eagles versus the Cowboys. These are two very good teams going at it. And I gotta say, but I'm gonna take the champ. I'm gonna take the GOAT in my prediction. I'm gonna roll with the Buccaneers. I'm gonna roll with the Buccaneers, and I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a really good game. So I'm gonna say 27. I'm gonna say 27-24. Something along those lines. Something along those lines. I'll give the Buccaneers a 3-point edge. I think that's a good enough spread. Next game is the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers. Guys, despite the San Francisco 49ers beating the Philadelphia Eagles more so beat themselves last week against the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not entirely sold on the San Francisco 49ers, especially when it comes to this week going up against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, who just came off a phenomenal win in week 2. So I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers over the 49ers this week. And then last but not least, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night in Jerry World in Dallas. What do we have to say? Well, there's a lot of things that we have to say. I'm just happy that Zach Ertz is off the COVID list and is going to be active for this game. I'm unhappy that Jordan Mailata sprained his MCL in practice and is going to be week to week, but is going to be out for this game. So there are a few things. Obviously the Dallas Cowboys have some injuries of their own. Amari Cooper doesn't look like he's going to play. Linebacker safety Keanu Neal is not going to play for the Dallas Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence is not going to play for the Dallas Cowboys. La'el Collins is still out with his suspension. So, there are advantages for the Philadelphia Eagles to take advantage of in this game. What I'm going to be really looking out for in this game is Jalen Hurts, how he performs, how he bounces back. 12 for 23 is not a good passing outcome. And by 12 for 23, I mean his completion percentage from last week's game. So there's that. I also am going to be looking heavily at the play calling this week. I think that Nick Sirianni needs to have a bounce back week when it comes to play calling. The fact that they weren't able to get it into the end zone on a couple drives, kept them from winning that game against the 49ers. So we're going to need to do that. Most importantly this week, because it is the Cowboys, because it is Dallas week, we got to beat this team. We need to force the ball. We need to force some turnovers. There were a couple balls that got away from Anthony Harris last week. Anthony Harris had his hands on an interception and was not able to come down with it. We need to come down with the turnovers. The forced fumbles, we got to recover, and they need to not be penalties. We need to have some positive plays. Jalen Hurts needs to continue his interception-less streak. And that's another key to victory. They need to get the ground game going, make sure Miles Sanders gets going early, Kenny Gainwell, what have you. Get the ball to your playmakers, man. I want to see Quez Watkins more involved. He's the fastest wide receiver on the field when he's on the field. And that's not even just me saying that. That's been recorded. He's been the fastest wide receiver since 2 weeks in the entire NFL. As was recorded on that 91-yard catch last week. So we need to get him more involved. Devontae needs to get more involved. Jalen needs to get some completions over the middle. We got to get these tight ends more involved. If they cannot do these things, I really do see the Eagles going 1-2. I really do. We have to be able to get the ball in the end zone against this Dallas team. This Dallas Cowboys team will put up points. Dak Prescott is a veteran at this point. They're very much alike, Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a veteran, and that is the difference. The Dallas Cowboys have a ton of talent on offense. Amari Cooper is probably not going to go. Michael Gallup is going to be out. So it is going to be CeeDee Lamb. So there is that, there is that advantage. They are going to be without a couple of their weapons. But still, I'm going to be looking for this defense to really continue to play well. I think that they played well the first 2 weeks, so I'm going to look for them to continue to play well. But Jalen Hurts needs to get his shit together, really needs to have a bounce back week. Miles Sanders, all of the above, everything that I just said, everybody's got to be, they got to be on their A game. They got to be on their A game. So that's what I'll look forward to. But I am going to say this. I think that the Eagles do find a way I think that the Eagles do bounce back, and I think that the Eagles win 24-20. That's what I will say. That's what I will say, and I will leave it at that. Talks Falcons says, Falcons beating the Giants tomorrow. We are putting everything together. You will see the true dirty birds. Yeah, no, I said that the Falcons, I think that the Falcons will get their first win under Arthur Smith tomorrow. So I did go ahead and say that. Yeah, I'm not, but don't bring up the dirty bird nickname. It's just, they're not there yet. But anyway, this is DB talking now. DB talking birds, DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. I just wanted to jump on here with you guys real quick. Make sure that we got this week 3 preview in before Sunday comes around. And I obviously will be live with you guys tomorrow. I will make sure of that. So anyway, one love. Stay safe, stay healthy. This is DB talking now. DB talking birds, DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. Go Birds, baby.